Welcome to Lizards of the Toast, and here we. You guys like plants? I like plants. Woo! Oh yes. Oh my goodness! All right. I don't know how that plant got there. I really do not. All right. All right. Which one did we choose? Oh my gosh! Plants, 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 and a terracotta man. So plants and a terracotta man. How about them apples, huh? That's the story here. We have a gardening Dragon's Rage channeler with a garden with some lizards, some birds, and a bunch of plants. All right. Hey, slickery do new sleeves, my friends. Oh my goodness. Best to do it like that, I think. All right, let's get that sideboard out of the. Okay. Oh, I almost shuffled them. Almost shuffled them. So I have seen the Hollow Vine decks coming back. I shouldn't say Hollow Vine. That's what I used to like to play. Hollow One decks. I see the Rakdos ones, and I used to play the Hollow Vine deck, which was a Jund deck back in the day. And well, I shouldn't say I used to play it as a Jund deck, but after Fury and stuff, I was like, ooh, not so good. So this deck I've been working on like the last month, I'd say, and I haven't really play tested it against too many decks, but when I do play test it, it's done really good. Without further ado, let's get into it. So it's a discard deck. So of course we're gonna have this Blazing Root Walla. We are running two of these, and look at that one we got there. Isn't that nice? It gets +2/+0 if we pay one red, so that's better than the other Root Walla that is one green. But wouldn't it be nice for flavor in a Gruul discard deck? Fortunately, we don't need it in here, just like we don't need the full play set we used to play in here. So if we discard this, we can discard for madness and play it for free. That's really nice. Nobody complains about discarding something and playing it for free, you know? Get your donuts for pennies on the dimes, as it were. So here's Dr. C. Look at that. Isn't she a wonderful gardener? I think she is. So we have Dr. C here with this kind of delirium thing going on, too. So as long as there are 4 more card types among cards in the graveyard, DRC gets +2/+2, has flying and attacks each combat if able. So Dr. C gets her PhD, gets +2/+2, has that flying and attack. So that's very aggro, which this deck seeks to be. Oh, look at that. Doesn't that look nice? I thought those two looked really nice together. It's like the black and white cookie. The black and white cookie. Gotta love it. All right. So, Dr. C, a must include. Now, here's what really got me cooking on these. Let's see if we got them here. Oh, we do. All right. We're just going to take them all out together. All together now. Perfect. All right. So, this is what really got me excited about Hollow Vine again. This Mr. FOMO here. I just learned that. What FOMO is. It's fear of missing out. And I found that I have suffered from that, and I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. I have enough alphabet disorders as it is. I didn't know I had the FOMO too. So, when fear of missing out enters, discard a card, then draw a card. It's a discard. That's good. That's going to help our big terracotta hollow man. Has delirium whenever fear of missing out attacks for the first time each turn. If there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, untap target creature. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. For 1 and a red, that's pretty dang good. And we are definitely going to have that delirium, and you guys are going to see why. So we're running 4 fear of missing outs. It's a nightmare. So Dr. C has a nightmare when she falls asleep in her garden. And that's it right there. Isn't this funny? You like the flavor of this? You see where this is going? It's a flavorful deck. It's a city garden with a bird, some lizards. A lady that takes care of it falls asleep. She has a nightmare, which is FOMO. She has a fear of missing out. She thinks she's missing out on life, maybe, just spending all this time in this garden. But then she wakes up to the sound of the bird, which I'm just kidding. This is so funny. All right. Anyways, 2 in a red, we get the enchantment creature Phoenix. So it's an enchantment and it's a creature. So right there we have two of our delirium parameters covered. And has flying and haste for a 2/2. That's really good. But the enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and haste. Very nice. So being able to collect evidence 6 to bestow this for 1 red cast that from the graveyard using that bestow ability. So exile cards with total mana value 6 or greater from your graveyard. That's going to be so easy. It's a little counterintuitive to our delirium, but by the time we're going to be popping one of these out of the graveyard and putting it onto something, we're not going to have to really worry about that. So I think the bestow ability is great because a lot of our cards, as you see, the Phoenix itself is 3 mana. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's the one I opened, and I got these other ones. And let's look here. One of our wonderful plants that shares the garden here. We have the omnivorous flytrap. It has delirium. Whenever the flytrap enters or attacks, this 2 mana, 1 green plant has, if there's 4 or more card types among cards in the graveyard, distribute +1/+2 counters among 1 or 2 target creatures. That's pretty dang good. But there's more. But wait, Chuck, there's more. And we're going to have these 6 more card types fairly easily. There's 6 or more card types among cards in your graveyard. Double the number of 1/1 counters on those creatures. So they'll get 2 1/1 counters and then double them. That is very good. Especially with our double attack triggers. So between the Phoenix and the FOMO, these plants are doing damage here. Look at that. So, those back there. I will say, and I'll get to that when we get to that. We don't want to digress. We're really working hard on our digression. I'm just kidding. I know the difference. I digress. Omnivorous Flytrap. That delirium, I can't say enough about it. I think this card, along with FOMO, is so good. But it's 2 and a green, so that's our big mana cost. So look at these ones. You can't quite see what it is. So I was like, when I got these, I opened one of these. And these ones I bought. So I have 2 of those ones and 2 of these ones. So you can see what the thing is. Because that right there took me a second. I was looking at it. I'm like, what is that? So now we know. It's a fly trap. We want to present our plants properly. And speaking of plants, look at what we have here. Vengevine. Oh, did we know this would show up? Did I regret selling the place that I had? I do. And buying these ones from Card Kingdom at cost. Which is okay, though. Which is okay. Because we gave one away as a present, and the person that got it was so happy. So Vengevine is 2 and 2 green. It's an elemental creature, but it's a plant. By all concerns, it's a plant. It belongs in our garden. Maybe it could be one of those carrion flowers, you know? Some kind of bladderwort, maybe. So it has haste, 4/3. And whenever you cast a spell, if it's the second creature spell you cast this turn, you may return Vengevine from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's pretty dang good. So we have 3 of those. Because we just want one in the graveyard. That's pretty much the goal of this. It's a card we could easily sideboard as well. Unlike the ghost of the city garden, friends. This is the ghost of the community garden. She tries to get into the garden, but she disappears. She cannot cross over wrought iron, let's say. So she has Swamp Walk. She doesn't have Iron Walk. But we don't really care what she has because we are never casting this. This is simply a cycler. This is to get our Terracotta Man out early. So pay 2 life, discard this card, draw a card. So 2 of these in the opening hand is going to definitely win us over a Terracotta Man. And of course, we have a playset. Now let's see here. The lamps on Windmore Street snuff themselves at midnight and refuse to relight, afraid to illuminate what lies in the darkness of the city garden. Perfect. Oh, and here's our statues of the garden. Here is our statues, and the next card is the drinking fountain. You guys will love that one. So in our city garden, we have the terracotta statues. And this spell is 5 mana. Ooh, yuck! We don't want any part of that. This terracotta statue's got to wait. What is that spell? Oh, 2 less to cast for each card you've cycled or discarded this turn? My friend, cycling cost 2. Discard this card, draw a card. So that's some, you know, we love that utility around here, right? We like options. But 2 less to cast for each card you've cycled or discarded this turn. We can turn 1, technically cast this for free, because it costs 2 less 2 less. So that's important. But we don't want to be given life willy-nilly, but if we can cycle 2 of those or do another thing and end up with this in our hand, which we will get to that. And then you'll see why this isn't very fun to goldfish with. So, of course, we have 4 hollow. Oh, look at, and look at, it's the black and white cookie, my friend. Yep, that's right. The city garden is all about diversity. We have both in there. The black and the white. Terracotta man. They're all terracotta men, but they come in different shades and stripes. All right, so the drinking fountain bauble here. We'll call this our drinking fountain. It's free. It's an artifact. Tap it, sacrifice it, look at the top card of target player's library. It's usually going to be ours. Draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. It gives us a little bit of control in this otherwise wild deck. Now, this is the fun one. I'll probably do a short about this. I have Tarfire in here. There's 3 in the main deck and 1 in the sideboard. And look at that. People are always like, Tarfire? What's the deal with that? Well, us prowess guys know the deal, and I will explain it. It's a tribal instant, goblin. So it's an instant, or a tribal instant, if you will, and it's a goblin. And it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So it's a lightning bolt goblin that deals 1 less damage. So when this goes into our graveyard, that's 2 card types. 3 of those. Now, the sorcery department. Sir, you gotta stay in the sorcery. Now, I am going to switch up the lands in here a little bit. I think I'm going to add maybe 1 or 2 more fetches. So, I just wanted to get this out. I've been waiting a long time to put this up. It's been like a month. And I was waiting for certain cards to come. Yada, yada, yada. We have Burning Inquiry. This is one very familiar with from my first Hollow Man deck. Before I even had a channel, I think it was like when I first started playing Magic again, that was like a modern deck that it appealed to me, I remember. So Burning Inquiry, running a play set. Simple. It's a sorcery. Each player draws 3 cards. Then we discard 3 cards at random. And that's kind of why it's not the most fun to, rolling the dice, as it were, while goldfishing to choose the randomized cards. It's not the best thing. But it's also not the best thing for our opponent. But in us, it's not. For them, it's kind of a terrible thing, if you will. But for us, it's not the worst thing. Do you understand? Because we're getting things in our graveyard. We're also filling our hand. But that randomized card discard, that's where I really like the Vengevine in here. Because the Vengevine's not necessarily a dead drop if it ends up in the graveyard, where the Hollow Man, playing so close to the sun as we are, the Hollow Man can cookie himself right into the graveyard, and then we will have just a little bit of trouble getting him out. Meaning we won't get him out at all. But that's okay. I mean, there are 4 of them. And we have other paths to victory as well. But Burning Inquiry, very good card. Sorcery speed. Make sure you do what you want to do with anything you don't want to discard before you play this, obviously. If it's not, say like, if you want to do something and have a mana up, make sure you do this at the right phase. Because you do not want to end up rolling the dice and losing something, which is easy to do. This deck rolls a lot faster and a lot harder, I've got to say, than the original Hollowvine I played. We have the same card here for 1 more mana, except you draw 4 cards, then discard 3 cards at random. So, it's 1 more card. You're discarding 3 cards, so it's an upside. This is the one that our opponent will probably feel less bummed out about. But we're still running 4 of them. 1 of them could be sideboarded. Vengevine, where did you come from? From your blood. And everybody's bloodstream is vines. And if you eat the right food, the vine will grow through your body. Like in that movie, The Ruins. All right. Have these in order? Yes, I do. Oh, goodness. Let us Let me see. Let me make sure. All right. Yeah, I think we got 6 fetches in here. So this one, did I want 7? I think I wanted 7. So maybe another Bloodstained Mire. In any case, we have Thornspire Verge for the flavor. Look at it's from a new set. We're running it. It's cool. Deal with it. I'm just kidding. But you can add a red. That's good. Tap and add green. Activate only if you control a mountain or a forest. And as you can see, that is not a mountain or a forest, but this is a mountain and a forest. Mountain and a forest. Mountain and a forest. Mountain and a forest. So Stumping Ground, we all know what that is. It's the ground in which we stump upon. But Commercial District. Most people should be familiar with this by now, but if they're not, Commercial District enters the battlefield tap OLED. But when it enters, Surveil 1. Very good. Not as good in this deck as in other decks, but still very good, especially if we Surveil a Vengevine. And, think of this, maybe on turn 2 we could play 2 Dr. C's. So that would be pretty sweet. And then play that Vengevine out. We got 2 Dragon's Rage Channelers and a 4/3 ready to rock and roll with haste. So do the math. 6 damage, not too bad. Basic mountains. We have 4. Aren't those cool? I love those. The old Chronicles 3 Peaks. Boop. And here's our Fetchaboos. We have Wooded Foothills in the wonderful Cons of Tarkir version. And then 2 Bloodstained Mires. A Bloodstained Mires. Man, there must have been a crime at the local grocery store, wink wink, because it's a Bloodstained Mires just in time for Halloween. Anyhow, pay 1 life, you know what it does, get the thingy, put it in there. And I think, yeah, I remember what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm going to use 2 Cons of Tarkir Bloodstained Mires in here because I think it'll look cool. And that's what I was going to do with that. So our mana base, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Sometimes I think it could be 18. I do have feelings towards 18. But so far this has done us good. All right, let's talk about the sideboard. Let's slide in the sideboard. And it's very slippery slidey. All right, look at that. Isn't that fancy? That's the deck separator. Pretty cool. A bunch of troll cards, but you know, what can you do? All right, so we have Pyroclasm here. This is the newer copy of it. It's 1 in a red. Pyroclasm deals 2 damage to each creature. Boop, boop, boop. And it just so happens that that's not going to do too much to any of our creatures, except the lizards, I believe. And our plant is a 3 as well. Yeah. So, oh, that plant is a 4. That's right. But Dr. C, our dear Dr. C, unless she's got her PhD and she's totally enraged, it's going to be a sad day because we'll lose our Dr. C. And her Surveil trigger is so good. Just because as well we can surveil. I should have brought that up at that time. But we'll do that now. I'll talk about that. I'm glad. We like doing these deck tech videos. The deck reveal and the deck tech together is better, in my opinion, because that way we don't fill up the time with too much video about one deck. All right. But say we play Burning Inquiry. Each player draws 3 cards and discards 3 cards at random. So this will give us a little bit of control over this. So if you have a Dr. C in the battlefield when we do a card like this, it's a little something to give us like a peek. So that's pretty good to get that little peek. But anyways, Pyroclasm is our board wipe. 1 in a red. And then here's the M10. And funny, these right around the time, as you see, that era, it's perfect for a board wipe in a deck like this. So we're actually running 4 of these just to knock those creatures out. Another great card that's come out recently, Pick Your Poison. I think this card's amazing. Now the price has gone down a bit too, so it's probably a good time to pick some up. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 of those, and then a Natural State. Because Natural State is an instant. We can destroy target artifact or enchantment with converted mana cost 3 or less. So it's as good in a way, but this targets Murktide. But this is an instant. And yeah, I think natural state with pick your poison, that's a great thing. Oh, look at it. There's Tarfire. There's our instant goblin. Instant goblin, just to add water. That's a gremlin. Target Tarfire deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Oh, let's read this. I like this flavor text. It's rather gross. A tale of Auntie Grub. After Auntie brushed the soot from her eyes, she discovered something wonderful. The fire had turned this goat into something that smelled delicious. And to the sniffer bear the behold the sniff, beauty behold the sniffer. Something like that. The beautiful smell is up to the sniffer, I guess. All right, and we have the lightning bolts. We have 3 lightning bolts, just in case. The Magebane lizard, I think, is great. It's a lizard, so it works it looks just fine in our nice garden. It doesn't soil up the veranda or anything, and it eats the bugs that may bother our plants. So, 2 of those. And this card has gone up in price. Man, I gave a bunch of these away too. And I only have 2 left. Isn't that funny? And here they be. So whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, the Magebane lizard deals damage to that player equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. So no funny business for storm decks. And no funny business to a degree for prowess either. Definitely will hurt prowess. And as many fetch lands are in prowess and storm decks, that extra damage there is just, oof, not going to be a good thing. Trust me, I know. Now we have another little thing here to gain a little bit of life, but mostly exile target non-creature artifact or enchantment. That's very important because this thing is an eater of fancy rocks. And that pretty much sums up our sideboard. I'd say against like Murktide, creature heavy decks, we would be somewhere around here. We could probably even do 2 lightning bolts in here. The deck will change a little bit. What's funny is even after the latest iteration of my Soul Trader deck, it's already changed just a little bit, but not very much. I think we're just about there. I do want to try this White of the Reliquary in there, so we'll probably be talking about that next week. And let's get this together, friends. It's kind of a fun deck as well because, as you see, we don't need any tokens. And that's always a good thing when you can get by without tokens. So, thanks for joining me. And if you've stayed to the end, go ahead and check out my other videos because you'll probably like those as much. Or you'll probably hate them equally. Which, either way, you're going to have strong emotions, and that's good. We're humans, right? So you guys have a good one, and I will see yous on the next one, which is going to be like 5 minutes from now, believe it or not.